we go. In the bottom left side, we have ourselves a red Terran fighting for the Dragon Phoenix Gamers. Oh, look at that lovely color set here as well. That is wonderful. It is Cure. It's like he's got a little carpet, like a blanket for his command center.
Oh, yeah.
To rest on. A little pillow.
And at the top right, playing for Alpha X. He is your Protoss player. His name is Zoun. And yeah, I like the blankets, you know? I feel like we don't often enough let, you know, command centers and Nexi, we don't let them rest. They're doing so much work. They're pumping out workers, they're chrono boosting, they're scanning. You know, they put in a lot of work, and so I think it's, you know, it's only right that we give them something nice. It's only right.
A little plateau. And these ones over here, that's a fancy one as well with the 2 banners.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the big kind of story with a lot of these new maps is that they are pretty large. I believe there's not one map in this map pool that has under 8 bases. So with every game, most likely in this, you know, little tournament, we're gonna see some of the longer games come out because you have a lot more options for resources and where you're going to expand. And obviously, when you were looking at like previous map pools, you know, you have things like Disco Bloodbath and maps like that where you have only 6 maps, and so the way you can expand is quite limited. The amount of late game resources are limited, and that's when we've usually seen shorter games, especially in the meta. But nah, we got some big boys this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Looks very interesting as well with the gold map, gold bases here. Very limited with the amount of patches that are there, and you have the backside harassment potential also. I always enjoy maps like this. A little bit of fanciness in how you're going to try to deal with those situations, right? And force people to kind of react more impulsively, and well, it always makes for good StarCraft 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as we said, we're going to just kind of be looking to see what builds these players pull out. We don't expect anything crazy. I mean, Cure here, Reaper into Command Center, into Factory. No cheese, nothing super aggressive just yet. Of course, we're going to be waiting for these first few tech buildings to come through before we really know what to expect in this game. But again, it's Cure, it's Zoun. These are players who have a history of just playing super solid StarCraft. You know, they play great macro games. I mean, Cure, I think, is kind of the hallmark Terran. If you're looking at, you want to hit timing attacks, you want to, you know, kind of just like manage these really, really strong builds, then look at Cure, because man, he does it so well.
Yeah, he's the man to look for if you're trying to learn Terran in a way, right? You want to get some good build orders, like you said. This is the man, really. It's I think similarly, Innovation had was you know, on the same kind of level like that, or like a similar type of play, but I don't know what it is with Cure. He just seems like he does innovate here and there a little bit, but then he does it so in a way where it's not necessarily a surprise, but it's something that he can keep bringing out, right, as well.
Yeah.
It's usually not the one-hit wonders. It's usually something like, for example, the Widowmine drops in TVZ, right? That suddenly did become quite prevalent and quite a staple play for a while there. Right, yeah. Anyway, let's see. Cure here, going across already. More Widowmines. You say the word once and they will appear.
They're like Beetlejuice. You say their name 3 times and here they are. Widowmines in your main.
Yeah, they're gonna be there. Yeah.
But yeah, we have Cure sending across just the 2. It's nothing like a 3 Widowmine drop. Does mean that he's going to be getting out that faster tank and Raven back at home. Obviously, these units very good for providing safety against any kind of a blink times. Here we go. Widowmines go in. Very good pull. Zoun already on top of that. Should be able to pick them both off. Medevac not wanting to go back in, but hey, yeah, Hellion goes in, distracts Zoun a little bit. You only get the 2 probes and ends up being obviously not that much damage, but you got a response, and that just buys, again, Cure a little bit of time. He's got the tanks coming out. He now has the Raven out on the map, and that is going to be roaming around, seeing what it can do. And in the meantime, is going to be transitioning into Stim, Combat Shields, getting up his Bioforce with his Marines, and a full saturation natural. So overall, everything smooth sailing right now for Cure. Nothing has really gone wrong. Obviously, the blink opening for Zoun it hasn't really been a build where he wants to go across the map. I mean, right now you're only looking at 2 gateways. This isn't any sort of 3-gate or 4-gate. So this has just been a very defensive play from both players.
Okay, nothing happening with that Widow Mine right there, but the auto turret does come in. A couple more kills on the probes. I believe that is 3 in total from that bad boy. And something interesting, just because it is a new map, is that we're seeing these slight little details, right? This pylon over here just barely cannot spot that vision range on the right side. So those medevacts keep on sneaking by, but so far, Zoun has managed to stay on attention. Requesting a little pause here as well.
Yeah.
Put his, oh no, he's ready to go again. All right.
Yeah. Seems like there was just a little bit of an issue, but we're back into it. So nothing too long. Medevac tries to go back in, but still those 2 stalkers keeping ward, making sure that nothing happens. Auto turret harass again is just going to stop the mining, and really Cure right now is just doing really everything that he can to slow down Zoun while he's preparing for this really, really big timing attack. As we said, this is what Cure does. He's super solid, plays these timing attacks, plays the macro, and right now it's 3 racks, it's a factory, it's a starport, but it's also sim and combat shield. It's I mean, 2 tanks, Widow Mine's also in production. This is a lot of army for Cure. 60 army supply to 23. Joe and his 6 gateways are just now finishing up, but he's not going to have Storm by the time this attack hits unless he's able to delay just a little bit.
Yeah, that would be wonderful for him if he manages to get that working. I'm wondering how many High Templars there are. So far, there's 0. He's transforming the High Templars that he did have into an Archon right now.
Yeah.
So he's already kind of confirming, like, all right, that storm's not going to be done in time. I need something else, something to kind of keep me alive a little bit. Also, some siege chains to siege up a bit further away from his infrastructure. But his army unit's still taking quite a bit of a beating. As now the infantry here has a nexus open and ready for the taking. All the probes are running away, scurrying into the corners and crevices of this map. So,
yeah.
Oh boy, that's
it's Cure doing Cure things. 7 minutes and 30 seconds. He picks up a win with the solid timing attack. It just looks clean. And yeah, I mean, I think that's really what you can notice about Royal Blood, and what we'll probably see, is that rush distance is pretty short. Like, that's why Zoun had to morph his High Templars into Archons. It's because that rush distance doesn't really give you the time to actually have that upgrade up and running by the time the attack comes, if you want to just immediately stop it. And so, Cure, I mean, taking full advantage of that. It's a big map, but hey, it's a short rush distance, and he's able to, I mean, pick up a very quick game number 1.
Yep.
What we see with a lot of bigger maps is that you don't often have as many ways that these maps kind of try to augment the rush distance. You know, with a lot of the smaller maps in like other map pools, you oftentimes see that there are rocks in the way from to stop players from just walking straight across. But on these maps, you don't really need to do that. It's going to be large enough with the additional bases that that just kind of adds to the length of time that it takes for units to move across, as Cure is sending out his own SCV here to scout around Zoun. Also just getting tabs on what is going on. Obviously, this map has a very, very intuitive kind of expansion pattern for the first 3 bases, with that 3rd base kind of having the 3 attack paths into it. So obviously, I think we expect to see a very similar playstyle here from Cure. I don't think there's any Terran that would pass up the opportunity to play some timing attacks, maybe some multi-pronged pressure if that doesn't work out, on a map where these bases are very open. There's not a lot of choke points here that the Protoss can really take huge advantage of.
Yeah, just kind of giving some flyby shots here of the map itself. Also, I adjusted the volume a little bit, so give me a heads up on whether or not this has helped out a little bit. Getting things lining up correctly on the levels. We have the Reaper getting an okay scout here as well on the overall. Couldn't quite see the tech structure there because, well, it hasn't been put down yet, so
yeah,
that's unfortunate. But he did manage to get into the base, so it didn't really give him that much.
Yeah, I mean, luckily it's Zoun. I think you can kind of expect that it's probably going to be that Twilight Council, just a very safe opening as Probe does get caught out there. I don't know if Zoun was going to do anything with it, had it pocketed on the bottom left side of the map. But just denying that possibility, the Reaper does manage to kill it. Second gateway on the way. Looks like we're looking at the same opener here for Zoun, that 2 gateway blink into a fast third. Obviously, we're probably going to want to see it be just a little bit more focused on getting up those armor units earlier. I don't know if Grezvon is long enough of a map that you can do the same build and actually have Storm out by the time that attack comes. But obviously, even with Storm, it was just a lot of army here for Cure, who's just going to dive on in with the Reaper and the Heli, and there are 2 Stalkers here. He's going to try and get the first probe. Manages to do so. Hellion finding some splash damage. Obviously, second shot doesn't go onto the probes, but weakening a few of them up.
Yeah, nice, well, a little bit of a start there, I guess, right? Also getting a read again on the Stalker numbers, stuff like that. How defensive are you being, and all that sort of shenanigans. Other than that, I mean, well, it's going to rely on the Widow Mines now, I suppose, to do some damage. I suppose seeing the previous game, right, this is going on my mind, is that even though if these early units of Cure don't do amazing damage, it seems like he's going to be able to find himself in a pretty good spot anyway. So it's almost as if these first initial couple of units really, like, they have the potential here to absolutely ruin the game for Zoun, but they they don't as much for Cure, right? It just puts him in a little bit of a more backside position if he does want to try to make a full committed attack here. Which is what I'm expecting him to do again, right? It's starting to line up pretty similarly as the last game.
And Zoun actually taking this this third that's straight up. Again, a bit of less options for how the Terran can attack. It also gives him that great pylon position to scout out the medevac. He's going to be able to trap that actually in that dead airspace, which there's not a lot of on this map. There's some in the bottom left and the top right corners and right outside the main base. But other than that, you really don't have a lot of that free airspace that some Terrans like to take advantage of with these medevacs, observer across the map, 4 gateways coming up with charge, just a little bit quicker, it feels like, here for Zoun, and that +1 stim still on the way. So this is feeling a lot more comfortable for our Protoss player. I don't think we're going to see that 7-minute just death push across the map that kills him.
Yeah, for sure. He's taking a lot more safety measures this time around. The Widow Mines, again, get spotted nice and early. He's really on top of his toes with this, even getting the Stalker's blink. Very nice.
The Widow Mine crawls out. Auto turret manages to pick up a little bit, not too much damage overall, as none of the units actually end up getting out there. The Raven's still alive. The medevac is, well, unfortunately not going to be able to hide itself away. Stalker's going to eventually knock that down, but 3 probes worth of damage. Again, it's not the most, and actually this time Zoun, I think, even negating a lot of the time where he had to have workers pulled compared to last game, as it feels like Cure this game not going to be opting for that that 2 base play. Says, yeah, this map's a little bit bigger. I don't feel as confident just going for that straight up push. I'm going to start on my 3rd base already. I'm going to have these units available, but it's not my entire game plan.
Yeah. Upgrades are still lining up nicely. And so he will be going across the map here, and even, well, I don't think he'll find too much, but even trading reasonably against the Protoss army at this stage would be alright, because it's going to force in more of those gateway warp-ins from Zoun and just delay that overall late game tech of the Protoss, which is just absolutely wonderful tech to have for them. More so in comparison to the Terran, right? They could be okay with sticking around on the Marine Marauder comps for a little bit longer. Although we have seen those massive gateway styles, you know, being okay, but I mean, looking at what's running at it right now, it's not gonna have that impactful trading, I feel like, at the moment. Or I'm just misreading this situation, but it just seems like there's a little bit too much to get a clean wiping the floor of the Terran army here. You know?
It's close. I mean, obviously there's a lot more gateway centric than we saw in the last game. A lot of zealots, a lot of stalkers. But we also see the 3 immortals, and that just adds a little bit of beef here to the Protoss army, but it's just so much Terran. As here we go, Cure stimming on in, pulls the zealots forward and manages to get rid of most of them. 2 Widow Mine shots do go off, but at the expense of a lot of the front line here for Zoun's army, as this natural is now sieged up. This tank position is actually so annoying for Zoun to deal with as we have that command center across the map. Gonna be landing. Widowmine shot goes off, just gets a Stalker. The Zealots on top of the Marines. The Marauders not at the front of this fight as the tank is focused down. Now Kira stepping forward is gonna get on top of the Immortals. A few more Zealots coming on in, that defender's advantage, helping out Zoun, but still the trade is just so close, and Kira is eventually gonna back up, kite this out, have some reinforcements coming in, and actually Zoun might have chased a little bit too far. Zealots go down, and Kira is still reinforcing.
Okay, does manage to deal with the Zealots running by into the third base as well. Hasn't lost too many SCVs there, so he's still doing rather nicely. And yeah, this trading is just continuing onwards. It's seemingly starting to get rougher and rougher for Zoun here to keep his head above the water as the Terran wave just keeps coming at him over and over again. Oh, those Widowmines, that is so aggressive, but it's gonna work here, I believe. Yep, that kills the Immortal. And, well, things are just a little bit hairy right now with more harassment from auto turrets in the main base, it looks like as well, starting to delay the overall income that we have available for Zoun. As we can see, the income advantage has been going to Cure overall in this game so far.
That mine eventually gets picked off, but again, it's just another wave of units here for Cure. It's mass bio, it's Widowmines. And these last few trades have been so good. He's now up 30 army supply. He's even on workers because Zoun has been producing nothing but units here to try and fight against this push. But again, Cure just takes the fight against the Zealots. The Widowmines zoning out a lot of that backline. They can't necessarily push forward until their shots have gone off. By then, just all the Zealots are gone. It's 1-1 here for Cure. You know, he has those upgrades. It's just the +1 attack for Zoun that is a pretty large discrepancy as again all the Zealots go down. Shield battery overcharge, the third one. That's how aggressive this has been. Kira has been non-stop with the pressure, has gotten out the 3 shield battery overcharge, and now that Nexus is going to be out of energy.
Yeah, it's very rough here. I mean, we can see as well how nicely Kira is utilizing this infantry. He's just managing to avoid fire from most of the Immortals and Stalkers as the Zealots are walking in most of the time. Now he realizes he just has the numbers. So he's going in a lot more aggressively.
He's got 19 Marauders.
Oh, yeah, things are looking like this is going to be the end of Zoun here in game number 2 as well. And this is going to be a bit frightful, man. After game number 1 ending like that, you make your adjustments. I don't know what's going on in his head. Hopefully he still has something in his mind that he can change or work with to try and make this a better situation, but oof.
And yeah, it's been, I mean, pretty dominant by Cure. I don't think there's much doubt of that. It has been Cure running the show. It has been him deciding when he pushes out, what attacks he wants to make, and it's been Zoun kind of being the one who is not able to react properly and respond well enough to these attacks. And so, as the Protoss, obviously, I think this feels like a situation where, you know, maybe you do change up how you're kind of playing this. Do you maybe instead settle for something? I mean, I don't know if you'd want to go for necessarily something like Blinkstalker Colossus. Obviously, that has been kind of a popular choice in the past, but just for that splash damage, you know, you need something, especially if Kira is going to continue to do these really strong, just mass bio timing attacks. You need some sort of splash damage.
Yeah, I think you're right. I like the idea of the Blink Stalkers because it, you know, maybe the thing is that he needs to open himself up a little bit more to the small amount of harassment, relatively small amount of harassment that is coming through, and just, you know, kind of beat that with a lower unit count, with really good control. He's shown good control, he's shown good reaction time, and then if he manages to stick around the other side of the map a little bit, right, you have those moments where the Stalkers can kite against that bio army, and then that is a way for the Protoss to try and get positive trading rather than the negative trading, right, where the Terran is deciding when to run in and out of your army. You're kind of deciding, all right, well, if you ever want to try to take a fight, you're gonna have to deal with a shower of shots from my Stalkers as you're walking across the map. That being said, though, you know, if Zoun ever goes into that play, there's nothing keeping Cure from just switching up his own play either, right? He could just go into more heavy harassments and start bashing in Zoun's teeth back at home through medevac harassment, as the Stalkers are suddenly on the wrong side of the map to deal with that. It's yeah, it's still a game of StarCraft.
Yeah. It's a game of, all right, trying to make adjustments here, fix things there, and then seeing how your opponent responds. And I like this from Zoun, though. Phoenix are going to be on the way. Obviously, this shuts down that Widow Mine harass a little bit better, stops your opponent from really having that Raven out across the map. But the Reaper was able to scout it, so that means that Cure, he's not going to go for the Raven. He's just going to build a Viking here. Is going to start in his factory as usual, but knows that, yeah, Raven, not a good choice here, especially if really your only use for it is those auto turrets. So already seeing these adjustments come through. Zoun has a pylon out on the map. Obviously, probably not going to be used for much. Maybe, I don't think, maybe hides tech later, but it has that there. Is going to be able to scout out when that medevac is actually going to be moving out as he takes his nexus in the bottom side, or the bottom expansion of this map. This means that he's going to have full information as to what's coming. And actually, the Raven is being produced, so it's going to be interesting to see what Cure does with it.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Phoenix as well, because it should help out with harassment, but it might leave him a little bit more vulnerable against one of those pushes, right? That is coming across the map eventually, we would assume. With the amount of Marines being carried in, maybe he's going to go into a bit more heavy Marine rather than Marauder this time. So maybe he's going to be able to deal with it in that sense a bit better if he tries to go more into the Stalkers then afterwards. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to try and hope that Zoun finds himself a way to deal with this, so we can get a little bit of a longer series going here. That's all we want, after all. More StarCraft and more time for people to donate to the Red Cross.
Phoenix dive on in. Raven goes down, and not even an auto turret, so a Phoenix for a Raven. It's a pretty good trade there, and I mean, that's why you don't really want to build the Raven into the Phoenixes. Even if you have protection, they can just dive on forward before you really get any value. And so that is just, you know, that's the money gone. And again, that's why I wasn't expecting to see it. But hey, Cure still made that investment. Now is just going to be transitioning into his usual play. Marauders, Marines, Medevacs, and Widow Mines with the +1. It's going to be this very, very strong timing attack. The 3 auto turrets the 3 missile turrets being placed down obviously will slow down the production of Cure just a little bit with those 300 minerals, but it shouldn't make that much of a difference, as really, I mean, he's just going to be looking for, again, this massive bio push, and that is still very, very dangerous for this Phoenix opening. I believe Zoun went up to 5, so he still has charge on the way. It's not finished yet. His gateways are just now finishing up, and Robotics Facility does mean he's going to have the option for the Colossus. We'll have to see if that Extended Thermal Lance finishes up before this attack comes across, and that all just depends on how quickly Cure decides to push, and looks like he wants to get on the map pretty quickly.
Yeah, he wants to get there because, I believe, of the Phoenix here. He knows that he has a good shot of letting his army get a good trade here. The missile turrets also allow him to start pushing across the map. Had a Hellion doing a bit of harassment on the 3rd base, kind of getting an eye on the amount of gateway forces available. It wasn't tremendous just yet, but the first Colossus is about to be ready. And, well, there is a lot more Marines here right now. And then there is Marauders, so there is a lot of shooting to do for that Colossus. Let's see if Zoun manages to get it done without the Extended Thermal Lance.
Yeah, it's a bit of a scary situation. It has a shield battery overcharge available, though, and that just makes it that much harder for Cure to really push in here. Marauders are going to stim forward first, though, and having them up at the front is very, very important if you want to try and fight this. But I don't know if Cure is necessarily going to feel comfortable or confident even pushing into that. Has the 3rd command center on the way, 2 additional barracks, so might just pull back, kind of continue to build up his army, add on the 3rd base, and get up his upgrades. Potentially maybe add on some Vikings as well. As he says, yeah, I don't want to commit on in there. I'm not confident in winning that fight, so I'm just going to wait. And it's probably going to go for a similar push to what we saw last game off of that kind of 3 bases as he's taking the 3rd.
Something very curious to me as well here from Cure is that he's going also for the Widow Mines. We're not seeing any siege tank production. It might be because he's not up against the Blink Stalkers, so he didn't need them for the earlier defense. That's a reason I could see this, but in my mind, also the Phoenix, I guess, are really good at picking up those siege tanks, but I'm also just concerned about the Phoenix having that potential of just dragging those Widow Mines onto your own army, and that's a quick way we've seen Terrans lose fights sometimes.
Yeah, it turns out Widow Mine DPS is pretty high, and the Astrea players aren't quite used to how much damage it deals, but
yeah. They're not built often in TVT.
Obviously, yeah, that is kind of the big threat. And these Zealots here, kind of hiding away, are going to try and go into that third base. Kira splitting up his army is going to try and hit 2 fronts here. Could try and go into the main base. The Phoenixes are there. There's 5 of them. Would be able to knock down at least one of the medevacs before you get into the main. So obviously that's a very dangerous prospect here for Kira if that's what he decides to go for. Ghosts are on the way. +1/+1 has finished up. So now's the time for Kira to start to get aggressive on this map.
It's funny how both of them have so much on the map, yet neither of them really saw anything of each other there for a while. Just the way it went. Okay, some army movement there being spotted as well by Zoun, so he's aware that it's going to be a double-pronged attack. Does have that extended thermal lance now. Look at that, wailing away, already getting a good amount of marine shot down there.
Yeah, now with Disruptors on the way. Blink, also the follow-up Zoun, just getting all the options. And this is, I think, what we kind of want. This is what I think a lot of people expect to see from Zoun, is this kind of very high-tech Protoss army. This is what he's known for. This is what he handles so well, especially into the mid to late game. As, I mean, Kira starts up as 2-2, but it's at the same time as Zoun, who's going to be getting those upgrades up and operational. 4th command center, though, already started up before Zoun has even taken his own 4th. I think that just goes to show how much respect Zoun right now is giving to these armies and to the potential aggression that Kira can put on him.
I like the addition of the Ghosts as well. It's very important for him to start utilizing those. So it's good to see from Kira that he's being this passive with those 2 forces, right? He realizes the potential of these units is going to go up substantially as soon as some Ghosts are added into the mix. And now he's going to be able to utilize them, hopefully, to the fullest effect. Already over here, he doesn't have Ghost on this side, but he'd almost take down a Disruptor there.
Absolutely, as Kira backs on up, loads into the medevacs, gets away, 2-2, still being worked at slowly but surely. He's also adding in the +1 ship weapons. So, I mean, I think we're expecting here to see the Viking production. That is just a kill on the Nexus. That's not a cancel there on the 4th. A lot of money invested there for Zoun, and that 4th being delayed, especially as the Terran is expanding to his own. It makes this a very scary situation for the Protoss. You never want to be the one who's behind in mining, especially against a Terran with their mules, with that additional income that they're able to get. Makes it so much harder as Kira once again going on in. The EMPs find so much damage. Another kill on the Nexus.
No,
and Zoun here.
No, sir. My goodness. He might be able to just keep doing this now from this point onwards. It really feels like there's got to be some big change in the narrative for this to suddenly feel like a game that Zoun could still take here. Disruptor shots would be a great thing to have happen, but so far not quite as lucky.
And finally, the cancel coming through there for Zoun. Has to replace it. I mean, 7 Disruptors right now available for the Protoss. Quite deadly as EMPs go down. Energy popped off the shield battery, but the overcharge comes through as the Zealots all getting cleaned up. Kira continuing to push it, though. He knows that this side, this half of the army is weak for his opponent. And Kira finding an incredible amount of damage here just with this small force. Disruptor shot goes out, finds a little bit of success. They're going to be able to start to force away this bio army. But look at the supply. I mean, 190 to 150. Oh,
he just seems like an absolute beast on another level right now. He does this sometimes, and when I was... didn't we say this at the start of the stream as well, that, like, any of these players really have the potential to just kind of swipe the match, a best of 5, because they're all just so good. And, well, I mean, on another day, this would have been a reverse situation here, where Kira may have been getting 3-0'd, but today, well... It looks like Kira has all his ducks in a row. Everything planned out, and things are aligning quite rightly for him here.
Yeah. A little bit of an opening as the Disruptors pushed forward, but didn't want to risk stimming forward. Now look at this. The Tomb Drop is getting ready to go into the main. Those 5 Phoenix, where are they? Well, they're over at the third. They're trying to help out with his defense. Zoun is distracted, and that means that this opens the door for Cure to try and just hemorrhage so much damage in the main. All the units are unloaded. The Colossus, they do manage to get here to try and help out, but it's only 2 so far. The Sim City is actually really annoying for Zoun to make his way through his base. It's very hard for these Colossus to find good surface area. More and more pylons are going down. 5th base is on the way for Zoun. Oh
my goodness, that's a lot of money going down the drain there as well. Zoun in a world of hurt, losing not just a lot of probes, but a big portion of his army here also. He's starting to chase down Cure a little bit. But again, right, he's trading armies here while he sustained heavy economic damage. Again, this Colossus with his shield battery overcharge will remain alive. But, I mean, there's a new army already available here for Cure. There's no counterattack anywhere available for Zoun. This is feeling rough.
Yeah, I mean, the 5th base stays alive is obviously nice here for the Protoss if they're able to get that up and running. The 4th has been saturated, and, I mean, just 1 Colossus left, 4 Disruptors, 3 died during that exchange. Yeah, I mean, the resources lost is... it tells the story there. I don't know how often you see a game where it's actually almost 5,000 more resources lost for the Protoss. Yeah. But I think that just goes to show how efficient Cure has been, how well he's played this out, and obviously he does be careful. It's still a high-tech army here for Zoun, so when he has his army split up like this, he can't take these head-on fights, so has to run away. Some ghosts going down obviously hurts. Terran being on 5 bases does make up for that a little bit, pushing on the left side at the same time. The Disruptors are there, and Zoun actually managing to start to at least stop some of the bleeding.
He hit some good disruptor shots finally as well on the left side as the army was trying to come in. So that side has been subdued a little bit also. He's on 94 army supply in total. Managed to get himself back up to 5 bases somehow, even though he was being absolutely battered on his side of the map. And you know what? His army supply is looking pretty similar to that of Cure. If he gets a good fight here, there could be a shot for him to try and turn this game upside its head once more. But it's a close, neat window of opportunity, and he needs to execute this rather well. Going into Liberators like that, probably not going to help him achieve victory.
I mean, it all comes down to these Disruptors, really. Like, how good of hits are you able to get? Disruptor goes off. Liberator, oh, not going to be able to knock it down, but now this 4th and 5th base are exposed. Here we go, Cure. Got to be careful. Disruptor shots. Oh, they find so much, but some drops here now across the map are going to start to find some damage. Only a single probe goes down. The double drop also making its way up, but it's not here just yet. And now the 5th base is going to go down. And Zoun, how do you swing this game like this? It was just a moment ago that Cure had units in his main, was attacking the 3rd, killing Disruptors, and then he just takes the 5th, says, no, I'm okay. Yep. I'm fine, guys.
Yeah, look at that as well. The minerals loss count, it's starting to get equal now. Disruptors really paving the way once more here for Zoun. He does need to be a little bit concerned about the 2 medevac drop there in his natural base. Does have a couple of units he can warp in, but that's nowhere near enough, it looks like. We'll have to respond to that with a bigger fashion. There we go. Okay, Disruptors coming in, and they do force them up into the medevacs, but there's more stuff to harass. Zoun giving up a lot of free space, a lot of breathing room back to Cure again, as he is allowed to reset up those bases, setting up another one over here on the bottom, well, the bottom middle. 6 o'clock, another fight in the middle of the map as well, actually. This is a lot of Liberators being sniped down, but so are Disruptors.
Cure.
Oh my.
I know, Disruptor shots are good, but it just might not matter. The Bio is able to dive on forward, and the Disruptors that are going down are extremely valuable for Zoun, who loses 18 workers behind all of this. Sure, he got 22, sniped the 5th, but that was just, I mean, that was not a good fight. I think Zoun not expecting Cure to be there. The Liberators siege up, and now the Bio fighting again. A good pickup there is actually able to negate a lot of the potential damage, and that's it. Just one fight is all it takes. Cure gets the 3-0.